John Miller stood at the observation window of the horizon's edge, watching as the alien planet grew larger. The blue-green world of Epsilon Centauri 4 reminded him of Earth, though its 2 moons gave away its foreign nature. After 3 years, in deep space, the discovery of an advanced civilization had sent waves of excitement through the crew. "Nervous?" asked Dr. Samantha Brooks, appearing beside him. As mission commander, she rarely showed emotion, but even she couldn't hide her excitement. "More curious," John replied, adjusting his glasses. As the ship's xenobiologist, this moment was everything he had trained for. "What do you think they'll be like?" "We'll find out soon enough. Just remember to follow protocol. No assumptions. No promises we can't keep." The landing team prepared in the shuttle bay. 6 humans chosen to make first contact. Dr. Brooks in command, John to study the aliens' biology, 2 security officers, a linguist, and a cultural specialist. Their shuttle descended through pink clouds toward the coordinates where alien signals originated. "Life signs ahead," the pilot announced. "Lots of them." The shuttle landed in a clearing surrounded by tall purple vegetation. When the door opened, John's breath caught in his throat. A delegation of aliens waited in perfect formation. The Navari stood on 4 legs with 2 upper limbs ending in 3-fingered hands. Their bodies were covered in a hard, iridescent shell that reminded John of beetle carapaces. Their heads featured 4 eyes on flexible stalks and speaking organs that looked like small, vibrating mandibles. "Amazing," John whispered. The team exited slowly. Dr. Brooks stepped forward with the universal greeting their linguists had prepared. The lead Navari, larger than the others with gold markings on its shell, responded with a series of clicks and whistles. The team's translation devices worked to decipher the language. After several exchanges, basic communication was established. "We welcome you to our world." The translation came through. "I am Elder Zinn. We have observed your vessel and determined you are not a threat. We come in peace," Dr. Brooks replied. "We seek only knowledge and friendship between our peoples." The Navari led them to their colony, a vast network of connected structures built into the side of a mountain. The buildings had been constructed with mathematical precision, every angle perfect, every surface polished dot. As they walked, John noticed smaller Navari scurrying about. Unlike the adults, these juveniles moved quickly, almost frantically. He observed one that seemed to be twitching, its eye stalks moving in different directions than the others. "What happens to that one?" John asked, pointing discreetly. "Elder." Zinn's eye stalks swiveled. "It is nothing. A defective one. It will not concern you." John frowned, but remained silent. He had learned long ago that alien cultures had their own ways, and judgment before understanding often led to diplomatic disasters. For 3 days, the team was given a carefully controlled tour of the Navari colony. They learned about the aliens, technology, their social structure, and their history, or at least the version the elders wanted to share. But John noticed there were areas they were not allowed to visit, questions that went unanswered. On the 4th day, a ceremony was held to formalize relations between humans and Navari. The grand hall was filled with hundreds of the insectoid aliens, their shells gleaming under bright lights. During the ceremony, John noticed 2 juvenile Navari being separated from a group. Unlike the others, these 2 had unusual coloring, one with blue streaks on its shell, the other with an almost transparent section on its back. They were being guided away by larger Navari, who seemed to be handling them roughly. When John tried to look more closely, an elder blocked his view. "Please focus on the ceremony, human John." Later that evening, as the team prepared to return to their shuttle, John overheard 2 elders speaking. His translation device caught fragments. ... The defective ones. ... Disposal area. No one will find. Them double quotes. Double quotes unfortunate mutation cannot be allowed. A chill ran down John's spine. He had studied enough alien species to recognize the universal signs of cruelty. The next morning, the Navarre unexpectedly announced that the diplomatic mission was over. Elder Zinn informed Dr. Brooks that while they appreciated the visit, they needed time to consider further relations. "We request you leave our system within one of your Earth days," the elder stated. "We will contact your people when we are ready for more interaction." Dr. Brooks was surprised, but agreed. "We respect your wishes. We'll depart as requested." As the team gathered their equipment, John made an excuse to check some biological samples he had collected near the colony's outer wall. Instead, he slipped away, following his instincts toward what appeared to be a waste processing area. There, hidden behind containers of discarded materials, he found them the two juvenile Navari from the ceremony. They cowered when they saw him, their eye stalks pulled close to their heads in fear. John knelt down, trying to appear non-threatening. "It's okay," he said softly, knowing they probably couldn't understand him. "I won't hurt you." He activated his translation device and repeated the words. The juveniles looked at each other. Then the one with blue streaks cautiously extended an eye stalk toward him. To John's surprise, it spoke in broken human language. "Help us." Before John could respond, his communication device buzzed. "Doctor." Brooks's voice came through. "Miller, where are you?" "We're preparing for departure. Report back immediately." John looked at the frightened alien children, then back at his device. "I found something important, Doctor. Two juvenile Navari, abandoned in a waste area." After a long pause, Dr. Brooks replied, "Return to the shuttle, Miller." "That's an order." Back aboard the Horizon's Edge, John stood before the mission leadership, his face flushed with anger. "We can't just leave them." Dr. Brooks sighed. "I understand your concern, but this is an alien domestic matter. We have no jurisdiction. They're children. They'll die if we leave them. They're aliens with a social structure we barely understand," argued the security chief. "For all we know, this is normal in their culture." John shook his head. "They asked for help. One of them spoke our language." Dr. Brooks placed a hand on his shoulder. "John, this mission is too important to jeopardize. The knowledge we've gained could benefit humanity for generations. We can't risk it over what might be a misunderstanding. So we just abandon them?" John asked quietly. "We respect the Navari's request to leave," Dr. Brooks replied firmly. "The ship departs in 6 hours. I expect you to be on it." John returned to his quarters, his mind racing. In all his years of space exploration, he had followed protocol, respected chain of command. But the image of those frightened alien children haunted him. He sat at his desk and began typing a message that would likely end his career. As the words appeared on the screen, John knew there was no turning back. Some lines couldn't be crossed. Some actions couldn't be justified, even. In the name of diplomatic relations, a human refused to walk away. John stared at his resignation letter for a long time before sending it to Dr. Brooks. It was short but clear. He could not leave Epsilon Centauri 4 while those alien children remained abandoned. With 5 hours left before departure, he had work to do. His first stop was the medical bay, where his friend Alan Garcia was organizing supplies. "I need your help," John said quietly. Alan looked up from his inventory. "What kind of help?" "The kind that might get you in trouble." Alan's eyes narrowed. "This is about those alien kids, isn't it?" John nodded. "I'm staying behind. Are you crazy?" "You'll be stranded on an alien planet." "I've made up my mind," John said. "I just need some supplies. Medical kits, nutrition packs, water purifiers." Enough to last until I can figure something out. Alan rubbed his face. John, this is insane. What about the Navari? If they find you, they might kill you. If I don't help those juveniles, they'll die for sure. Alan stared at his friend for a long moment. Then he sighed and opened a cabinet. The small medkits have universal antibiotic gel and diagnostic tools. Take 3. And these nutrition packs are designed for emergency situations. They'll keep you going for weeks. Thank you, John said, packing the items into a bag. Don't thank me. I'm still trying to talk you out of this. Alan handed him a small device. Take my backup communicator. It has a short-range signal that might reach the ship if you change your mind. John left the medical bay with his supplies hidden in his research bag. Next, he needed information. He headed to the ship's biology lab, where he had been studying Navari samples. He downloaded everything they had learned about the alien physiology and environment onto a portable device. The Navari were highly adapted to their environment. Their bodies processed local plants efficiently, and their shell provided protection from the planet's intense ultraviolet radiation. As John worked, the ship's computer announced, 4 hours until departure. All personnel prepare for final checks. Time was running out. John needed one more thing, a way back to the surface without being detected. He couldn't take a shuttle. They were all carefully monitored. But there was another way. The horizons. Edge had deployed several research drones to study the planet. These small automated craft returned to the ship regularly to upload data. John had clearance to access the drone bay as part of his research duties. He arrived at the drone bay and found it empty. The technicians were busy with departure preparations. Perfect. John quickly located Drone 7, which was scheduled for one final surface scan. He disabled its automatic return protocol and adjusted its landing coordinates to the waste disposal area where he had found the juveniles. 3 hours until departure. All personnel report to departure stations. John sent a message to Dr. Brooks. I'm sorry, I can't leave them. Please understand. Then he switched off his official communicator and climbed into the drone's small cargo compartment. The journey to the surface was uncomfortable. The compartment was designed for samples, not humans. John held his breath as the drone passed through the ship's security scans. But his modifications worked. The system registered only the drone, not its human passenger, when the drone landed. Near the waste area, John quickly slipped out and hid behind large containers. The Navari colony bustled with activity, but few came to this outer section. John waited until darkness fell before moving toward where he had found the juveniles. Were gone. John's heart sank. Had they been discovered? Taken away for disposal? He searched the area, looking for any sign of them. Nothing. Then he heard a faint sound like a small piece of metal tapping against another. He followed the noise deeper into the waste area, to a narrow gap between two large containers. There, huddled together, were the 2 juvenile Navari. They trembled when they saw him, their eye stalks pulling back in fear. It's okay, John said softly, activating his translator. I'm here to help you. The one with blue streaks on its shell extended an eye stalk cautiously. Human ... back. Yes, I came back for you, John said. My name is John. Can you tell me? Your names? The juveniles made clicking sounds that his translator couldn't process. The blue-streaked one pointed to itself and simplified the sound. Leary. The other, with the transparent patch on its shell, followed suit. Kala. Leary and Kala, John repeated. I'm going to help you. Kala's eye stalks quivered. Why help? We ... bad, defective. John shook his head. No, you're not defective. You're different, and that's okay. He offered them nutrition packs, unsure if they could eat human food. To his surprise, they examined the packages carefully. Then Leary made a series of clicks to Kala, who responded by touching the package with a sensory appendage ... double quotes, and ... Eat, Kala said. Not poison. John was amazed. How do you know? Leary made. More clicking sounds, which Kala translated. Leary feels. Energy. I taste ... compounds. You have special abilities, John realized. Is that why they abandoned you? Both juveniles pulled their eye stalks close to their bodies, a sign of distress or affirmation, John guessed. Elders fear different, Kala explained. Different is dangerous. Must remove. John's determination grew stronger. Well, I think different is valuable. Now we need to find somewhere safe to hide until the ship leaves. A sudden noise made them freeze. Voices approached adult Navari by the sound of them. John and the juveniles squeezed deeper between the containers. Through a small gap, John saw two adult Navari inspecting the area. One was Elderzin, who had led the diplomatic tour. The humans leave soon, Elderzin said. Make sure the disposal is complete before their ship is gone. No evidence. What about the missing defectives? The other asked. Find them. They cannot be allowed to contaminate. The gene pool. Their mutations are too dangerous. What if the humans discover them? Elderzin's mandibles clicked sharply. The humans will be gone. And if they found the defectives, they would understand the necessity of purification. All advanced species must protect their genetic future. When the Navari left, John turned to Leary and Kala. We need to move. It's not safe here. Where go? Leary asked through Kala's translation. John considered their options. They couldn't stay near the colony, but they couldn't travel far on foot. Then he remembered the research drones had mapped a network of caves several kilometers away. It would be a difficult journey, but the caves might provide shelter. I know a place, he said, but we have to be careful. Can you travel at night? Both juveniles extended their eye stalks fully, an affirmative gesture. Then we leave when it's dark, John said. Pack whatever you can carry. As the alien sun set, John looked up at the sky where the horizon's edge orbited. By now, Dr. Brooks would have read his resignation. Soon the ship would leave, and he would be alone on an alien world with two young aliens who depended on him for survival. The human had refused to walk away. Now he had to live with that choice. The three fugitives moved quietly through the alien forest. John led the way, using a small light to guide their path. Leary and Kala followed close behind, their eye stalks constantly turning to watch for danger. The forest was alive with strange sounds. Creatures called in the darkness. Plants glowed with soft blue light. John checked his portable map often. The caves were still 5 kilometers away. Rest, he said after 2 hours of walking. Drink water. They stopped in a small clearing. John offered water to the young Navari. They drank differently than humans, absorbing liquid through special pores in their front limbs. Ship gone? Kala asked, her mandibles clicking softly. John looked up at the night sky. A bright point of light moved steadily among the stars, the horizon's edge leaving orbit. Yes, he said. They're leaving now. Leary made a series of clicks that the translator didn't catch. Leary says you stay. For us, Kala translated. Why? John thought carefully about his answer. Because it was right. On my world, we believe. All people deserve to live free, even if they're different. Before they could talk more, Leary's eye stalks suddenly stiffened. She made urgent clicking sounds. Coming, Kala translated. Someone coming. John turned off his light. Hide, he whispered. They crouched behind large purple ferns. Soon, John heard it too, the sound of many legs moving through the forest. Navari. Search parties. Voices carried through the night air. The tracking sensors detect movement in this direction. The defectives cannot have gone far. And if the missing human is with them, they will be slower. John's heart raced. He hadn't considered. They might track them. The Navari technology was more advanced than he had realized. We need to move, he whispered, but they'll follow our trail. Leary made a series of soft clicks. Leary says, "Water," Kala translated. "Big water ahead. No track in water." John checked. His map. There was indeed a river 2 kilometers east. "Good thinking," he said. "Let's go." They moved carefully through the forest, staying low and avoiding open areas. The young Navari were surprisingly good at moving quietly. Their hard shells, which looked heavy, were actually light and flexible. When they reached the river, John faced a new problem. The current was strong, and he didn't know if Leary and Kala could swim. "Water ... how?" he asked. To his surprise, both juveniles stepped confidently into the river. Their lower limbs expanded slightly, becoming flat like paddles. They moved easily through the water. "You can swim," John said. Kala's eye stalks bobbed in what John had learned was their version of a nod. All Navari swim, born in water. John waded into the cold river and followed them. They traveled downstream for nearly an hour before climbing out on the opposite bank. The detour added distance to their journey, but it might throw off the search party's dot. As they continued toward the caves, the sky began to lighten. Dawn was coming. They needed to find shelter before daylight exposed them. "How much further?" Kala asked. John checked his map. 2 more kilometers. "We need to hurry." Suddenly, a voice called from behind them. "Stop where you are." John turned to see a human figure emerging from the trees. For a moment, he thought he was hallucinating from exhaustion. Then he recognized her, Lisa Rodriguez, the communications specialist from the Horizon's Edge. "Lisa, what are you doing here?" She approached cautiously, eyeing the juvenile Navari. "Looking for you. When Dr. Brooks read your resignation, I knew what you were planning." "You should be on the ship," John said. Lisa shook her head. "I couldn't let you do this alone. I've studied the Navari communications. There's more going on here than they told us." The ship left orbit. "I saw it. They think I'm on it," Lisa explained. "I used one of the research drones, just like you did. I guessed you'd head for the caves." John didn't know whether to be grateful or worried. "It's dangerous here. The Navari are hunting us." "I know," Lisa said. "I intercepted their communications. They've sent search parties in all directions. They're using heat sensors to track you." This was bad news. John looked at Leary and Kala, who were watching Lisa with curious eye stalks. "Another human," Kala said. "Friend?" "Yes," John assured them. "Friend." Lisa knelt down to their level. "Hello. I'm Lisa." Leary extended an eye stalk toward Lisa, then made a series of rapid clicks. Leary says ... "You have much electric?" Kala translated, seeming unsure of the word. Lisa looked confused. "Electric?" John remembered what Kala had said earlier. "Leary can sense electromagnetic fields. She must be detecting your equipment." Lisa nodded and showed them her pack. "I brought a portable communications array. And this." She pulled out a small device. "It's an electromagnetic field generator. It creates false heat signatures to confuse their sensors." For the first time since leaving the ship, John felt a spark of hope. That could help us reach the caves. As they continued their journey, Lisa explained what she had learned about the Navari. "Their society is built on genetic purity," she said quietly as they walked. "They eliminate any juveniles with mutations or different abilities. But from what I've translated, these defects are becoming more common. Some Navari believe it's an adaptation to the planet." "Adaptation to what?" John asked. I'm not sure, but there are references to the original ones in their oldest records. I think the Navari might not be native to this planet. This new information made John look at Leary and Kala with fresh eyes. What if their defects weren't defects at all? By mid-morning, they reached the caves. The entrance was hidden behind thick vegetation, just as the drone scans had shown. Inside, the temperature was cooler, and the walls glowed with the same blue bioluminescence they had seen in the forest. Safe here? Kala asked. Lisa activated her field generator. This should mask our presence from their sensors. But we can't. Stay here forever, John nodded. We need a plan. The Navari won't stop looking for us. Leary moved deeper into the cave, her eye stalks extended fully. She made excited clicking sounds. What is it? John asked. Kala translated. Leary feels something. Deep in cave, old things. Sleeping things. Lisa looked concerned. What does that mean? I don't know, John said. But I think we should find out. As they followed Leary deeper into the cave system, the bioluminescence grew brighter. The passages widened into large chambers. And on the walls, John saw something that made him stop in amazement. Dot markings. Symbols. Not Navari writing, which he had studied during the diplomatic mission. Something older. And among the symbols were drawings of creatures that looked like Leary and Kala, but with the same colored streaks and transparent patches, the very features that had marked them as defective. Lisa, John said quietly, I think we've just found the original inhabitants of this planet. Behind them, at the cave entrance, they heard the sound of many legs approaching. John pulled Lisa and the two juvenile Navari deeper into the cave as the sound of adult Navari grew louder. They found us, Lisa whispered. The field generator isn't working. John looked around frantically. They were in a large chamber with several tunnels leading away from it. The walls glowed with blue light, illuminating the ancient markings. Which way? He asked Leary. The small Navari's eye stalks swiveled toward one of the tunnels. She made a series of urgent clicks. Leary feels strong energy. Down there, Kala translated. John made a quick decision. Then that's our path. Let's go. They hurried down the tunnel, which sloped steeply downward. The blue glow grew brighter as they descended. Behind them, they could hear the adult Navari entering the main chamber. Find the defectives and the humans, a voice commanded. They must not reach the lower chambers. The tunnel ended in another large chamber, but this one was different. The floor was smooth, like polished stone. In the center stood what looked like a control panel, covered in the same symbols they had seen on the walls. What is this place? Lisa asked in wonder. Leary approached the control panel, her high stalks fully extended. Without hesitation, she placed her front limbs on its surface. The blue streaks on her shell began to glow with the same light as the walls. Leary, be careful, John warned, but something remarkable was happening. The control panel came to life, glowing brightly. Symbols on the walls began to pulse with light. A holographic display appeared above the panel, showing images of creatures. That looked like Leary and Kala. They're like you, John said softly. Kala moved next to Leary, placing her limbs on the panel as well. The transparent patch on her shell glowed, and the holographic display changed. Now it showed images of the planet, and of ships arriving from space. The ships contained Navari. It's a historical record, Lisa realized. The Navari came from somewhere else. They weren't the first inhabitants of this planet. The images continued, showing the Navari establishing colonies and encountering the native species. What followed was disturbing conflict, battles, and, eventually, the subjugation of the natives. They conquered this world, John said. and tried to erase the original inhabitants. Leary and Kala made sad clicking sounds as they watched their people's history unfold before them. The final images showed something unexpected: native juveniles being taken in by some Navari, hidden and protected. Over time, these juveniles grew up and had offspring with the Navari, creating hybrids. The blue streaks and transparent patches appeared in these hybrid children. "You carry their genes," John told Leary and Kala. "You're part native, part Navari. That's why the elders want to eliminate you. You're living proof of their secret history." Before they could process this revelation, they heard movement at the tunnel entrance. Elder Zin appeared, flanked by several adult Navari warriors. "Step away from the ancestral chamber," Elder Zin commanded. "This place is forbidden." John and Lisa moved protectively in front of Leary and Kala. "These children have a right to know their history," John said. "They are defective," Elder Zin insisted. "Their mutations threaten the purity of our species." "They're not mutations," Lisa countered. "They're genetic memories of the original inhabitants of this planet, the people you conquered." Elder Zin's eye stalks pulled back in anger. "Lies. We have always been the dominant species of this world. The evidence is all around us." John gestured to the holographic display, still showing the history of the planet. "You came from somewhere else. You took this world from its native people. And now you're afraid because their genes are resurfacing in your children." The other adult Navari looked at the images, their eye stalks moving in confusion. One of them turned to Elder Zin. "Is this true? Have we been destroying our own history?" "Silence." Elder Zin moved toward John and Lisa. "The humans have contaminated these defectives with dangerous ideas. Take them all." The warriors advanced, but suddenly stopped as a new sound filled the chamber. A loud, rhythmic pulsing that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The blue light grew intensely bright, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When the light dimmed, they saw something amazing. The entire chamber was filled with holographic images of the native species. And standing among them was a new figure, a Navari, with extensive blue markings and transparent sections on its shell. "The first hybrid," Elder Zin whispered, his voice now filled with fear. The holographic figure spoke, its voice translated somehow into words they all could understand. "Why do you deny your true history, children of the stars? Why do you destroy the gifts that allow your species to thrive on this world?" Elder Zin backed away. "These are tricks. Human technology." "No," said another voice from the tunnel entrance. To everyone's surprise, Dr. Samantha Brooks walked into the chamber, followed by a tall Navari with gold and blue markings on its shell. "Dr. Brooks?" John couldn't believe his eyes. "You came back?" She nodded. "When you and Lisa both went missing, I couldn't just leave. I reported the situation to Earth Alliance headquarters. They sent a diplomatic envoy to investigate." She gestured to the tall Navari beside her. "This is Greg Foster, our diplomatic specialist. He's been working with a faction of Navari who oppose the genetic purification programs." The Navari with gold and blue markings stepped forward. "I am Elder Vax. For generations, some of us have protected the hybrid children, hiding them from those who would destroy them. We believe they are the future of our species on this world." Elder Zin hissed, "Traitors! You would dilute our pure bloodline." "There is no pure bloodline anymore," Elder Vax replied. "This planet changes us. The native genes allow us to truly adapt to this world. Without them, our future here is limited." The holographic first hybrid spoke again. "The path forward is together, not through destruction." Dr. Brooks approached John. "I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you earlier. You were right about these children. What happens now?" John asked. "Greg." Foster stepped forward. "Earth Alliance has evidence of the genetic purification program. We've negotiated with Elder Vax and others who oppose these practices. They will form a new council to govern Navari society, one that protects all juveniles regardless of their genetic makeup. Elder Zin and his warriors were surrounded by Elder Vax's supporters. "This is not over," Elder Zin warned. "No, it's just beginning," Lisa said. John knelt beside Leary and Kala. "Do you understand what's happening? You're safe now." Kala translated for Leary and responded, "We important, not defective?" "You're very important," John assured them. "You're the bridge between two peoples." Dr. Brooks watched this exchange with interest. "John, what these children can do communicating with the ancient technology, sensing electromagnetic fields, their translation abilities, it could revolutionize our understanding of adaptive evolution. They're not research subjects," John said firmly. "Of course not," Dr. Brooks agreed. "But they and others like them could help us learn how two different species can share a world. That knowledge could be valuable across the galaxy." As they talked, more adult Navari entered the chamber supporters of Elder Vax. Among them were juveniles with various markings and features that would have branded them as defective under the old regime. "More like us," Kala said, her eye stalks extending in excitement. John smiled. "Yes, you're not alone anymore." The holographic display changed again, showing images of Navari and natives living together in harmony. It was a vision of the past, and perhaps a vision of the future as well. 3 months passed on Epsilon Centauri 4. The planet's 2 moons shone bright in the night sky as John Miller stood outside the new settlement that had been established near the ancient caves. What had begun as a desperate escape had transformed into something remarkable. The Earth Alliance ship that brought Dr. Brooks back had stayed in orbit, providing support for what they now called the Reconciliation Project. John watched as Leary and Kala played with other juvenile Navari in the Yavari. Clearing. Some had blue markings, others had transparent patches, and many had other unique features once considered defects. Now they were recognized as gifts, genetic echoes of the planet's original inhabitants. Lisa Rodriguez approached, carrying data tablets. "The latest scans from the cave system are amazing. We've mapped 20 more chambers with historical records." "Any progress on translating the native language?" John asked. "Kala is helping us build a complete dictionary. She has an incredible gift for languages." Lisa smiled as she watched the juveniles playing. It's hard to believe they were once abandoned as defective. Greg Foster joined them, his tall human frame easily recognizable among the Navari, who now worked alongside the Earth Alliance team. In the 3 months since his arrival, he had become an effective mediator between the different Navari factions. "Elder Vax has called a full council meeting," Greg informed them. "All 20 colony sites will be represented. Will Elder Zin attend?" John asked. Greg nodded. "He's lost much of his support, but some Navari still believe in the old ways. It's important that all voices are heard if we want lasting peace. A transition hadn't been easy." After the revelations in the ancient chamber, Navari society had fallen into confusion. Some embraced the truth about their history, while others denied it. Elder Zin and his supporters had initially threatened violence, but when more hybrid juveniles emerged from hiding, even the most conservative Navari had to acknowledge something important was happening. Dr. Brooks approached, her usual serious expression now softened by months of working closely with the juveniles. "The medical team has finished their analysis of the hybrid genetics. It's fascinating. The native genes aren't just random mutations. They're adaptive responses to the planet's environment." "Exactly what Elder Vax has been saying," John noted. "Yes, but now we have scientific proof. The hybrids can sense electromagnetic fields, process the planet's unique radiation, and communicate with the ancient technology because these abilities were essential for the native species." Lisa looked thoughtful. So the Navarai who arrived here thousands of years ago couldn't fully adapt to the planet without incorporating native genes. Precisely, Dr. Brooks confirmed. Natural selection has been quietly favoring the hybrids. All along. That's why more hybrid juveniles were being born, despite the purification programs. Later that evening, John sat with Leary and Kala near their new dwelling. The juveniles had grown noticeably in the past months, their shells developing the more complex patterns of adolescence. "Tomorrow big meeting," Kala said in nearly perfect English. Her translation abilities had improved dramatically as she worked. "With the human linguists." "Yes," John agreed. "All the Navari leaders will decide on the new laws." Leary, who still preferred to speak through Kala, made a series of clicks. "Leary asks if we stay here now," Kala translated. "Forever?" John had been thinking about this question himself. His impulsive decision to stay behind and help two abandoned alien children had changed the course of his life and the course of an entire planet's history. "I'll stay as long as you need me," he told them. "But someday you'll be adults. You'll make your own decisions." "We want to learn," Kala said, "about stars. About other worlds," John smiled. "There's a lot to learn. And you'll have plenty of time." The next morning, a full Navari council gathered in a large structure built specially for the occasion. Representatives from Earth Alliance attended as observers, with Greg Foster serving as the human spokesperson. John, Lisa, and Dr. Brooks sat with Leary and Kala, who had been invited as representatives of the hybrid juveniles. Elder Vax led the proceedings, his gold and blue markings gleaming in the light. "We gather today to determine the future of our people," Elder Vax began. "For too long, we have denied our true history and destroyed our future by eliminating those who carried the gifts of this world's original inhabitants." Elder Zin, now diminished in status, but still permitted to speak, rose to object. "We have preserved our genetic purity for generations. These hybrids dilute what makes us Navari." "But we are not the same Navari who first arrived on this world," countered another elder. "We have lived here for thousands of years. This is our home now, and we must adapt to it." The debate continued for hours. Finally, Elder Vax called for Leary and Kala to approach the center of the chamber. "These young ones were abandoned, left to die because they were different," Elder Vax said. "Yet they have shown us the truth of our past and the possibility of our future." Kala, showing remarkable courage, addressed the council in the formal Navari language. John couldn't understand the words, but he could see the impact they had on the assembled elders. Many extended their eye stalks in the Navari gesture of respect. When the voting began, John held his breath. One by one, the representatives of each colony signaled their decision. In the end, the result was clear. The Navari would officially end all genetic purification programs and establish protections for hybrid juveniles. As the council dispersed, Dr. Brooks approached John with news. "Earth Alliance is establishing a permanent research station here. They've asked me to lead it." "That's wonderful," John said. "They've asked for you and Lisa to stay on as well. Your experience with the Navari and the hybrids is invaluable." John looked at Leary and Kala, who were speaking excitedly with other juvenile hybrids. "I think we'd all like that." Later that evening, as the twin moons rose over the settlement, John received a message from Earth Alliance headquarters. It contained official recognition of his actions and a formal appointment as xenobiological liaison to Epsilon Centauri 4. The message ended with a personal note from the Alliance director. "Sometimes the greatest scientific discoveries come not from detached observation, but from simple human compassion. Your refusal to abandon those in need has opened a new chapter in interspecies relations." John sat outside, watching the alien stars. Leary and Kala joined him, their eye stalks tilted upward to the night sky. "Beautiful," Kala said simply. Yes, John agreed. Very beautiful. Leary made a series of soft clicks that John had come to recognize, even without translation. It was the Navarre expression of gratitude. "You're welcome," he told her. "I'm glad." I stayed. What had begun with one human refusing to walk away had led to reconciliation between two species and a new understanding of how life adapts and evolves across the galaxy. As John looked at the hybrid juveniles beside him, no longer abandoned, no longer considered defective, he knew he had made the right choice. Some lines couldn't be crossed. Some beings couldn't be abandoned. And sometimes the most human thing to do was to stay and help, even when everyone else walked away.